Thank you everyone for joining us today for our Bridging the Gap for Rapid and Temporary Fleet Deployment webinar. The presentation will start in a few minutes to allow everyone time to log on. While you wait, we have a video for you to watch that will show you a little bit about our companies.
For more than 30 years, Complete Coachworks has been moving America with its premier transportation solutions. Headquartered in Riverside, California, we are the coast-to-coast transportation resource for a variety of industries. Universities, transit agencies, government, entertainment and travel, airports, and sanitation all rely on CCW. Complete Coachworks, a family-owned and operated organization, is a full-service provider specializing in remanufactures, retrofits, and rehabs. Our numerous awards and certifications reflect our dedication and commitment to our customers. We provide quality customer service and develop the most cost-efficient solution for your unique needs. As a pioneer in the business, CCW strives to continually provide cleaner air through innovative design and engineering. We take pre-owned, diesel-powered transit buses and remanufacture them into state-of-the-art vehicles containing all-electric drivetrain systems. Our affiliate companies, Shuttle Bus Leasing and Transit Sales International, provide sales and leasing options for high-quality used transit buses to meet the needs of customers. CCW consistently delivers superior quality, quick and efficient service, on-time delivery, impeccable quality control, and most importantly, peace of mind for our customers. Contact us and find out why CCW is the full-service transportation provider that you've been looking for. For more.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, presented by Complete Coachworks, Transit Sales International, and Shuttle Bus Leasing. I'm your host, Paula Rudd, Sales Support Manager for CCW and its affiliate companies. This webinar is going to run for 45 minutes. First 30 minutes will be a presentation by Brad Carson and Pat Scully, with 15 minutes at the end dedicated to your questions and answers. We ask that you submit your answers using the Q&A button at the top of your screen. The chat feature has been disabled for this webinar, so all questions will need to be submitted using the Q&A button. We'll get to as many of the questions as we can at the end of the presentation, and any questions that we are unable to answer, we will address at the end of the webinar with a follow-up email that will also have a copy of the recording of this presentation. With that, it's a pleasure to have you all join us today, and I hand this off to our presenters, Patrick Scully and Brad Carson, who will be providing you with valuable insight into the offerings of our company and how they can benefit you with your fleet management.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Paula, and welcome to everybody. Thanks for taking the time to join us here on our webinar. And this will be the first of a series that Complete Coachworks will be doing for the industry. I think many of you know the company. We'll get into that in a minute. You certainly saw the details in the video, but we wanted to make sure you were aware of everything we do at Complete Coachworks and its affiliated companies, including the sale and leasing of pre-owned equipment to fill the needs that you may have at your agency as you encounter gaps in whether it's vehicle deliveries or your service operations, which we'll get into in a moment. For those that don't know me, happy to say hello. I'm Patrick Scully, as Paula said. I've joined Complete Coachworks mid-summer. I've been in the industry my entire career, and primarily as vehicle sales and marketing through various OEMs from Motor Coach Industries. Prior to that, Daimler Buses North America, and prior to that with Detroit Diesel Corporation. So certainly know the industry. I may have met many of you, and happy to say hello once again, but very excited to be with Complete Coachworks. Obviously an innovator in the industry and one that provides quality service and products as noted in the video. So as Paula said, this will take probably 30 minutes for presentation, and then we encourage you to submit your questions and comments via the Q&A feature, as Paula said. So looking forward to a great interactive session with you. So with that, we'll move to the next slide. So Complete Coachworks, again, you've seen it in the video for those that were on, but CCW has been in operation for over 35 years. Primary business is the refurbishment, midlife overhaul, repair, vehicle conversion from diesel to CNG and so on, and also zero emission product with Complete Coachworks. Company is headquartered in Riverside, California, and serves the country nationwide. And quite frankly, we are unique in our offerings in providing transportation solutions to primarily the transit bus industry. But equally, and again, you see in the picture on the bottom right, we do have a very significant inventory of pre-owned equipment in almost every make and model, length, propulsion, and clearly over 1,000 vehicles in our inventory. We store them at our secure facility adjacent here in Riverside and Murrieta, California. And basically our message today is that, and you'll see that they are all ready for rapid deployment for operations where needs exist and gaps exist in your fleet needs. Next slide, please. One thing I should note, actually, as the slide's changing, CCW is an employee-owned company, or ESOP, as some of you may be aware. You know, the significance, I think, from a customer perspective is that we're all owners, and we all take pride in what we do, and we have a vested interest in the success of our business, but also in the products and services that we provide to you, our customers. So pretty significant development in the history of the organization. The ESOP was entered into approximately 2 years ago and noted as an employee-owned company. So, you know, continuing along the dialogue, I think we've all seen, and especially post-COVID, the industry has been challenged in the last few years, and especially for agencies, you know, as you deal with fleet needs coming out of COVID, and we'll talk about them in detail, but obviously bus deliveries, new bus deliveries have been delayed for various reasons, right? We have all this supply chain items, sorry for the lighting, supply chain items, and excuse me, one moment. Thank you, sorry. Supply chain items, staffing issues at OEMs and so on. But also, as you have your own needs for system expansion and ridership changes, surges in ridership, and also probably equally as important, you have zero emission planning that is underway at virtually every transit agency in the country. And concurrently with zero emission planning, you also have infrastructure construction, whether it be for battery electric buses and charging infrastructure or other garage infrastructure that can occur. But as you go down these fleet challenges, Shuttle Bus Leasing and Transit Sales International, we're your partners, and we're capable of bridging the gap for you as you face these vehicle needs in your fleet operations. So next slide. So representative pictures here you can see of what we offer. We did say at the outset that these are pre-owned equipment, but we take great care in making them ready for service. And this is what you would experience typically in a vehicle that would be obtained from us, essentially painted white, so all prior you know, decals and so on will be removed. Interiors as shown in the picture, and obviously that's specific to obviously maybe an airport operation with luggage racks. But we have seating configurations and options, across the spectrum. But fundamentally, the buses are ready, DOT ready, all systems operational, paint refreshed, as I said, ADA compliant, with ramps. Obviously, virtually all of our vehicles are low floor, and most critically, ready for rapid deployment. Essentially, we can have buses ready certainly within 30 days or even shorter based on need, but they are ready for your system needs as you have them going forward. Next slide, please. So a little bit of background on the North American bus manufacturing space, as I said a few moments ago. And again, it's been a challenge for the industry across the board, and most of it is post-COVID, right? We've had the experience of whether factories shutting down in that 2020 period, year 2020 period, and then also staffing issues that ran concurrent to that. We've all faced them in all of our operations, staffing issues, but also supply chain challenges that have continued to face the industry. I think it's certainly getting better, but it's still, got its bumps in the road. But we've also seen some contraction in the market with Nova Bus exiting the US market in the last few months, Proterra filing Chapter 11. We've got BYD rebranding themselves, and a little bit challenged in bidding on new business. And then, as I said, there's delayed deliveries depending on the OEM. And then the background to all this is the industry association, APTA, has taken heed or taken notice and put together a task force to address the issues within the bus manufacturing space. If you take a step back and, Congress has provided very significant funding for certainly zero emission buses, but yet we're finding contraction in the bus manufacturing space. So a little bit of a dilemma that's trying to be addressed. But where we fit in, and again, you can see on this slide, all of our major OEMs in the industry, as they are delivering buses to you, and they may not be exactly fitting what you need in your operations, we can deploy our equipment quickly and effectively. As I mentioned, they're DOT ready, white paint, all systems functional, and ADA compliant vehicles. And I think it's very important, as you partner with your OEMs, you have an additional partner in us in assisting you and making sure you make service for your operations. Equally as important, beyond the bus manufacturing and delivery space, many and most agencies have system changes and route expansion that occurs throughout the, I call it life of the system. And often you need to test or assess whether a route is appropriate, for ridership needs and so on. And again, a very critical opportunity for us to partner with you to deploy buses to test those routes. And again, the picture that I showed you earlier, vehicles that are ready to be deployed to you through either a sale with Transit Sales International or the leasing arm, Shuttle Bus Leasing. And as you adapt your system to ridership changes, we can be there for you. And most critically, right, there's no long-term commitment to these, either sale, although that's different, but certainly a lease, where you can lease equipment for a short-term basis, on a short-term basis, to address those system needs. Equally, for seasonal ridership, and this is specific to either systems in resort areas, but also as you have schools in and out of schedule, theme parks, holidays, special events, often there requires a surge in either equipment or ridership needs. And that's where we are your partner to assist, again, in the same fashion, to deploy equipment either on a sale basis or on a lease basis for that seasonal surge that you may be facing. Next slide, please. And as I mentioned earlier, virtually every system in the country is undergoing a planning experience or exercise for zero emission buses. And what you see on the slide here is a time frame of a typical system. You know, it's this 20-year time frame, right? These zero emission buses cannot be deployed as quickly, beyond that, 10 to 20-year period, as well as the infrastructure that's needed to either charge or fuel buses, depending on the propulsion type. And that's where we can assist greatly with filling the gaps as you find challenges, and there's always delays in these projects, which is natural. But we can bridge the gap in assisting you when either buses are delayed or infrastructure is delayed, or other reasons why you may have gaps in fleet deployment. So whether it's our pre-owned equipment, as we've been focusing on the last few minutes, but also we have a zero emission battery electric bus conversion project called ZEPS, Zero Emission Propulsion System. We have developed this over the last 10 years, deployed approximately 80 buses into the market, but a very good example where we can assist not only with existing equipment, but also zero emission battery buses converted. We can either use our equipment, our buses, or yours, where we can convert it from typically a diesel vehicle into a battery electric zero emission bus. And again, to fit the gaps that occur in your operations, whether it's waiting for new buses or testing routes and so on. And these vehicles can be deployed obviously longer than 30 days, but in the 9-month time frame, which quite frankly, from a new bus delivery perspective is it's about half the time, depending on the OEM and product. So from Complete Coachworks, Transit Sales International, Shuttle Bus Leasing, we run the spectrum of used equipment, ready for service, DOT ready, zero emission product ready for deployment or building. But you can see from a partnership perspective that we offer transportation solutions that fit the needs as you go down your journey of system changes and movement to zero emission equipment. And we can be your partner to bridge those gaps that occur and continue to build on the history that we've had as an organization that has been highly flexible and dynamic in the market in providing transportation solutions to assist you as operators in the transit industry. So with that said, I will now turn it over to Brad Carson to continue the discussion. And over to you, Brad. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Patrick. Very much. Well done. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us on our first of hopefully many webinars that the companies will put on. Bit of background on myself. I've been with Complete Coachworks, Shuttle Bus Leasing, Transit Sales International for about 17 years. Started out as a steam cleaner out on the steam pit. Worked through the shop, becoming maintenance mechanic helper, mechanic, project manager, and then integrated into the procurement side of the company. And now I hold the title of Chief Operating Officer that oversees production and the facilities around Complete Coachworks and Shuttle Bus Leasing. Some of the things I want to talk about, next slide, thank you, Kaylee, is maintenance planning and some of the requirements that are on most transit agencies' state of good repair with the federal oversight and the demands that puts on the maintenance shop and the requirements for downtime and the availability of the daily rollout to be able to provide that with a good spare ratio. Shuttle Bus Leasing really helps cushion those maintenance intervals and those maintenance cycles, allowing more consistency with the rollout, giving that a little bit of a buffer in the maintenance programs to achieve the state of good repair that the agencies are looking for. and that are required and that you guys want to give the public. So a temporary fleet being deployed, made up of buses that we work very closely with each customer to try and match what you have in your fleet right now. That becomes vitally important when trying to integrate a short-term fleet into a maintenance operation and into a program to give the mechanics, give the agencies, give the operators a vehicle that they're very accustomed to. So one of the positive sides of having 1,000 buses in inventory is we can do our best to cater those exact specifications that an agency would have to get the new temporary fleet integrated in with minimal impact, minimal training and changeover time. Just gives you the availability to have that extra fleet ready to roll out and meet the expectations of the public. Pat's talked a lot about complete coach or shuttle bus leasing and Transit Sales International with our bus fleet. Complete Coachworks is one of our bigger branches of the companies. And with the Complete Coachworks, we do our core business is bus midlifes and bus remanufacturing. The pictures represented here are 40-foot Gillig low floor bus stripped down to basically a bare chassis. From that point, it gets a full chassis inspection, denoting any defects or deficiencies. Those are corrected. And then literally from the ground up, these buses are rebuilt with new wear components, upgraded electronics and technologies, newer emissions packages, the latest in ADA compliant ramps and securement positions. And it gives us the ability to really turn around a fleet, whether it is a fleet that we are adding from Transit Sales as inventory and selling into a agency's operation, or whether it's a midlife program and it's the agency's bus. The midlife program really helps agencies control their costs as a bus starts aging out. The costs tend to increase. The failure ratio starts really accumulating and causing the road failures. So doing the maintenance and midlife overhauls really gives a fresh start to the buses and kind of resets that clock on the big maintenance intervals and the maintenance cycles. So CCW thinks that, you know, the midlife program is just a fantastic way to really help streamline a maintenance organization and a maintenance operation and keep the buses out on the road where they need to be. Next slide, Taylor. Another alternative to the modern era that we're living in with going zero emissions is some of the infrastructure challenges that we've seen kind of industry-wide, whether it's zero emissions going all electric, or whether you're integrating hydrogen into your fleets or bringing CNG on. A lot of the delay that has been coming once these new buses, these zero emission buses, get on site is some of the infrastructure challenges that have really put some roadblocks up, no pun intended, for getting the buses out onto the road. It takes a lot of organizations within a city, a lot of companies working with the transit agencies, with the utility providers, to bring something as simple as power onto a property to charge 200 buses. That is a daunting task. And it is really, there's a lot of people out there really trying to expedite that and understand how to do that successfully. And one of the things that we have helped our customers with is that interruption in the availability of their newer buses, having a dependable fleet like SBL kind of in your back pocket, ready to meet rollout demands every morning when those challenges do arise, really gives agencies the comfortability to meet the demands of the public without overstretching what their buses are capable of and what their infrastructure is currently capable of. It gives the time necessary to integrate the newer technologies, the newer systems, train the drivers, the operators, and really make that green transition a smooth process without the burden of needing to meet rollout. And the having that SBL short-term fleet on property ready to help you do so really gives some comfortability and makes that transition a lot easier, a lot smoother for a lot of the agencies that we've been working with. Next slide, Caitlin. In summary, the three companies, Complete Coachworks, Transit Sales International, Shuttle Bus Leasing, we truly believe that we're a transportation solution provider. Whether it is a major collision of a new bus, whether it is short-term leasing to integrate new technologies into your fleet, or whether it's seasonal ridership and you got to add routes going up to a snow and bringing skiers on board. We kind of handle the whole variety of challenges. We've got a really dedicated team here that really works with customers to understand their issues that they're having and customize a solution to those different problems, to those unique challenges, and find a solution that will work best to help the agencies do what they do, which is serve the public. So I do want to thank everyone for joining us. We're going to go into question and answers. So please type your questions into the box and we'll start plugging away.
And as we wait for that to occur, I just looked, Paula, I don't see any questions yet. Do you have questions yet, Paula?
No, I don't have any questions yet.
Okay, so feel free, guys, to put them in there in the Q&A session. If you don't have any, we can only assume our presentation was just awesome and answered anything you might have in mind. But as we're waiting for that, maybe just a few items that weren't in the presentation. And it comes down, how much do these various options cost, and whether that's going to show up as a question. But a typical lease for a typical 40-foot bus, and it depends on what we do to the bus or what you'd like us to do to the bus. But for a 12-month lease, typically in the range of $5,500, $6,000 a month. It can range, obviously, plus and minus from that. For a shorter-term lease, which is sometimes a challenge but doable, we would be in the $7,500 per month range for a shorter term lease in 12 months. But that gives you a bit of a range. It gives you a bit of a range of what we can do on the leasing side. Vehicle purchases, again, depending on the make, model, age, condition, anywhere from the $75,000 and up to $100,000 range, depending on, again, as I noted, make, model, year. And then on the refurbishment side, Brad spent a lot of time detailing that, and I think some of you, we've entered into bid proposals and procurements and contracts. But from a basic side of powertrain, engine, and so on, from the mid 200s, and then north of that for full refurbishment of interior, paint, and so on, can run in the mid to high 300,000. But again, typically, if you have a one or two off, we can provide quotations based on that. We also have our standard scope of work that we can send you as well as if you have a formal procurement, obviously engage in that process. But that just gives you a bit of a scope and context of pricing for the options that we indicated. But most importantly, if you have a peculiar budget need, we can certainly work with you to address that. So I think we have a question or a couple, Paula.
Yes, Pat, we have a few questions, 3 so far. First question is, can you say a little more about infrastructure construction? Is it just upgrading vehicles, or do you contribute to cables, roads, etc.?
Brad, you want to take that one?
Yeah. Complete Coachworks, ZEP's product is a vehicle conversion, whether it is a agency or a customer's vehicle, or whether I'm pulling one out of my inventory. It is taking a fossil fuel vehicle and converting it to battery all electric. When we have sold these into agencies and different customers, we work closely with them on charging infrastructure. Complete Coachworks ZEP's bus does have an integrated charging system that we're very proud of. It is a very cost-effective way of agencies putting charging infrastructure at their facilities. Very simplistic in how it's been designed. And very affordable. It gives a wide range of options of placement for the different chargers, whether they're in maintenance bays or out on pedestals out by the where the buses park. We also work with a wireless charging company, Wave, out of Utah. We've seen great success with the integration of their wireless charging pad into our vehicles. We have upfitted the Wave wireless charging pad onto a variety of new OEM electric vehicles. That seems to be very successful with the agencies that are operating those in-ground wireless chargers. Complete Coachworks does not lay concrete or do engineering, civil engineering on roadways or anything like that. But we are very versed in the technology, and we do work closely with agencies to assist in as they tackle those infrastructure developments and build outs.
Okay, our next question, how does new CARB emission regulations impact ability to lease buses in California?
Yeah, I'll start with that, and then Brad, if you can key in.
Yep.
Tricky, right? California is somewhat unique. Obviously, a diesel bus pre-2010 cannot be used or registered in the state. So a couple of options. I mean, the first one is we do have hybrid electric equipment, whether that can fit in and whether that, assists, might be an option. But it can get a little tricky for sure. But Brad, maybe you can offer some insight as well.
Sure. A hybrid's a fantastic option, and we do have several different hybrid makes and models in our inventory to choose from. But one of the easiest ways is California has been CNG, an estate for years and years and years. California was one of the earliest adopters of a CNG system beyond any state. So it's not only on the public sector for transit agencies, but across the state, we have CNG fueling infrastructure. And we've got a huge selection of used CNG pre-owned equipment that we can roll out quickly out into the state, and there's no emission concerns or issues with that. Trying to get an older fossil fuel vehicle in California is difficult to the point of undoable. But we have a huge selection of alternative vehicles that meet all CARB compliant emissions in California. So it has not been a hurdle that we can't overcome. And that's for leasing buses. For Complete Coachworks, a lot of our midlife rehabs and overhauls in the state of California we're taking older diesel buses and putting new engines in them, current EPA compliant engines that meet today's standard, but on an older chassis. So a lot of fleets are getting a little bit longer life out of their fleet by doing that repower during a midlife, or exclusively just doing it as a repower to get more life out of some of those vehicles if they want to run diesel still. So those a couple options for you.
Yeah, and I think, to add to that, and it's an excellent question from Kyle, is where a hybrid might work, where a CNG might work. Obviously, you got infrastructure issues and so on with CNG if it's not a CNG property. But, Brad offered a very good solution there of repowering to, later emissions or post 2010. And the challenge there, it just takes money, right? But and that's just a challenge within California. But as I noted, it's just tricky, and we'd have to work with you on specific options for what you need. But yeah, California can be a bit of a curvy road there, but certainly we can assist with solutions. Back to you, Paula.
Next question is, what kind of vehicle or operational surprises have the fleet operators discovered after adopting battery electric vehicles in their fleets?
I'll take that to start. I think, and this is, from a big picture industry wise, the probably two major areas of focus has been range, and then charging time, and what you have to do to your operations. And I think the reality of range is multifaceted, right, or multi inputs, let's call it, where a bus is designed for a nominal range, but then you have your own peculiar geography, your own peculiar climate, load factors, all kinds of things that add into what the usable range is, together with the situation of kind of vehicle or battery controls on either end, right, where bus won't operate below a certain state of charge, and getting it 100% state of charge becomes the next challenge. So the usable range is often a critical area or issue that's faced. And then secondly, how to run your operations to charge vehicles, whether it's midday as they go out in rush hour AM and PM, what it means if it can be done during the day or overnight, what the charges are for that, cost is to charge, and then what it means to your operations, right? I think those have been the biggest issues that have been faced by operators as they have deployed battery electric buses. And I think what has been found is, as they look forward in their zero emission planning phases, that it might have to be a balance of battery electric buses sort of in the downtown zone, if you will, some kind of other option in the longer suburban routes, and hydrogen fuel cell is certainly out there that addresses those two major issues of range and charging, because they operate similar to an existing diesel or CNG bus. Sorry, we have automatic lights that go off on me every now and then. Sorry about that.
That's what a green company we are.
That's right.
We won't even give Patrick full lighting.
Keep me in the dark. Any rate, so yeah, those are the primary challenges, and you don't know that until you deploy them and figure out what's happening in your operation. So you really got to stay close to whether it's us, if we provide a product like ZEPs, or your vehicle OEMs, and maybe Brad can add to that as well.
Pat, I think he covered it pretty well. There's always surprises, but I think understanding the technology and what it's capable of doing and asking it and putting it in routes and in service that it can provide. So a lot of transit agencies have routes that are out, buses that can be out all day long and barely put 120 miles on a vehicle. For that type of route and that type of application, an electric bus handles that no sweat. Other agencies have long hauls that are, you're moving people from in between cities out on the highway. And at this point, a battery all electric bus just isn't there yet in terms of being able to do that on a single charge. There's all kinds of options as far as opportunity charging and infrastructure. AVTA in California has done that quite successfully. They have some huge long runs, few hundred miles a day that they're doing with battery electric buses, and they're doing that with opportunity charging. When the bus comes back to the depot, it parks over a wireless charging pad, automatically syncs and starts charging, and getting that power back that it needs to continue its daily routes. So there's always surprises, but I think being conscious of some of the restrictions that an electric bus may have, it can be integrated into virtually any fleet. It might not handle every single route that a fleet has, but it can handle the majority of the routes. And just being conscious of that is been very successful. A lot of people have had a great success at that.
Okay, next question, Paula.
Yes. What kind of mix have you seen between drivetrain only versus full reefer builds?
What kind of mix? We do both. It really, it's up to the customer and trying to customize a scope of work and a contract that meets the customer and the fleet's needs. If a fleet is, really well maintained and they're looking to exclusively repower a bus and get the engines replaced, or maybe they want to upgrade their emission package or change transmissions as part of a fleet overhaul, and they're not worried about interiors and paint and axles and all that, that's something that their agency handles internally. Fantastic. Then that is how we would customize the scope, and that's what we'd be focused on. Other agencies use the opportunity to rebrand their fleet as part of a customer awareness and a public awareness. So repowering the vehicle and doing a full paint job with decals and interior seats and flooring and all that. CCW is flexible. What we want to do is understand what the customer needs and help build a scope of work that provides just that. Really not out there trying to push one thing or another. We just want to give you the best product that we can that handles all of your requirements as efficiently as possible.
Okay,
Ready
Paula,
for the next question?
Yep,
Okay, we got two questions that were basically the same. Says, does CCW offer mobile charging solutions to fill the gap with infrastructure deployment lead times?
Brad, I'll turn that over to you.
Sure. We have in the past. That's there are companies out there. I know there is mobile hydrogen generation stations. There are trailers that are little more than giant generators for charging battery electric buses. There's options out there on the market. We have helped support customers by customizing unique temporary charging infrastructure for them as they got their infrastructure up to speed. It is not something that we go around and offer as a general, part of our product offering. But like I said, it's been something that we've had to help customers with in the past, but it is not part of our daily product line, I would guess.
Okay, are you ready for the next question?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
It's have you seen any traction on state or federal credit vouchers for repower upgrades?
Maybe I'll take that, and then Brad, you can offer. One thing that we're focused on, at least for California, and it, again, specific to the state, is the HVIP or credit program or rebate program that exists for the state for zero emission buses. There's a path there, obviously, for new buses. I think it's about $120,000 rebate for battery electric and $240,000 for hydrogen fuel cell buses, but those are new. I actually engaged with the program administrators recently, and we will undergo a process to work to get our ZEPS product offered through the HVIP program. It'll take a bit, but that's certainly the objective for us, at least to address California customers that, obviously many have to go down the zero emission or must go down the zero emission path. So that's the specific area for California. But as I said in part of my discussion, the available funding for zero emission buses has never been a higher offering from the federal level and maybe even state level. But Brad, you can also offer comments from your end if we've experienced benefits through our ZEPS program.
You hit on the credit vouchers, Pat, but Complete Coachworks has done everything from the Tiger Grant and a lot of state and federal funding programs. It really it gets down to what your state is offering and what direction your agency is looking to expand and go green. That's probably one that needs to be handled a little bit more specific per customer and where you're at and what your real requirements are and what you're looking to do. And I'm sure Pat would look forward to talking to you about that and getting you walked through those kind of funding options that are out there and that are available, because there's a lot of them. There's a lot of money out there right now. The government's really pushing that. So I'm pretty sure that if one doesn't work, there's another program out there that would help agencies or even private companies get some financial support to convert their fleets.
Yeah, and I'd also say that, the Low-No grant process is probably one of the most critical ones, and applying a ZEPS product to that is certainly doable. But again, it goes to grant writing and working through those processes, because we can't typically get the credit. It has to go through a transit agency, but Low-No is certainly one of the avenues for sure. So next question, Paula.
Yes. How closely does the ZEPS repower drivetrain compare to OEM's battery electric vehicles for energy efficiency, range, and other performance parameters?
Brad, I'll let you answer that
one. Extremely comparable, to the point of the ZEPS product has been out on the market for over 10 years, and it has been extremely successful. We do try and undersell what our vehicle's capable of, and in most cases, we're able to provide a vehicle that can go well beyond what we've promised to our customers. We're not of the fashion to overpromise what the vehicle can do. But in more recent news, we've been working with the Voith team, Voith Transmissions and Voith companies, They have an electric drive system that we have integrated into some 60-foot new Flyer buses to make them an all-electric battery bus for the Voith product. And we've also put it into some of the Gillig chassis. And really, really surprised that the results on the Voith drive system have been remarkable. We're very much a prove it to me kind of company when we're working with new technologies. And so we put our vehicles through as many tests, as many cycles as we possibly can. And the Voith system that we're putting into the ZEPS product, the ZEPS conversions now, is remarkable with its efficiency. And that's head-to-head competition with new OEM electric buses. So, you know, if an agency is looking to do a conversion, the Voith system's proven it's to be a very efficient drive system, and it integrates into the ZEPS product and CCW's offerings quite well. So we're very happy with that efficiency.
Okay, next question, Paula.
Next question, does CCW foresee expanding the ZEPS repowering into other work vehicles, school buses, Class 6, 8 delivery box trucks, drayage port hostlers, etc.?
Yeah, big picture, our focus traditionally has been in the bus market, right? Whether primarily transit bus. Other vocations are certainly possible, but it comes down to some volume and looking at those opportunities. So right now, our focus is on transit and optimizing our product for that market. And if we had an opportunity in some of those other vocations, we would certainly look at it. There's very significant engineering that has to go into designing a system for those vehicles and testing, and obviously it's very, very significant. So anytime we get that kind of question, it would come with either volume, and volume would be, you know, in the sort of double digits, you know, 10 units or more. But also what the opportunity could be is funding to offset the non-recurring engineering that occurs, you know, with the development of systems into other vehicles. So right now, there's nothing on our product roadmap that has us into other vocations. But if the opportunity arose, we would look at it. And as I said, look to offset those kind of significant development costs. So right now, transit is the focus. We've got probably time for one more question. We're almost at the top of the hour. So Paula, if you could guide us.
Yes, we have only one more question. It's with CCW's 10 plus years of experience with battery electric buses. Have you started to see second left opportunities for batteries? If so, what has that looked like?
Say the last sentence, Paul. I missed the
second life for
second
battery.
life.
Okay, got it. I wasn't sure, so I read it as it was written.
No problem. I think it's saying have we found any battery changeouts? Is that, Brad? Is
not necessarily battery changeouts, but in a vehicle, the battery weight is very considerable, and so oftentimes you want to put as little battery on that vehicle as you possibly can. Help reduce costs, help become more efficient, help reduce weight. And in doing so, you need to get the most out of those batteries for the life of that vehicle. There are a lot of second life opportunities with we use an 18650, you know, very small cell that we package and put in our buses. There's huge opportunities for second life of those battery packs. We have integrated them into a few different things that we've done internally as secondary storage for some green generation, kind of electric generations. It gives us the ability to store power. And that's once you get past a point where the battery just can't give you the range that you once had on the bus. You're still looking, at 80% capacity of new, but just that little bit of a delta is enough to where it'll impact range on a vehicle, but still plenty of life left in it as a secondary battery bank, whether it's something as simple as a battery bank for a facility due to a power outage or due to peak demands. So there's been a couple projects that we have built using some second life opportunities. But also one of the bigger things is the industry's seen that the batteries are lasting much, much longer than had been anticipated when most of us started this 10, 15 years ago. The battery packs are holding up. Their capacity has diminished gradually and very little overall. So I think the whole industry around batteries and putting them in the vehicles, it was expected that you could get about a 6-year life out of vehicles. We have buses that have been in service for 9, 10 plus years, and they still go out and run routes that they had been doing, when they were originally delivered. So the answer to the question is yes, there are a lot of opportunities for second life on batteries that have a slightly diminished energy capacity, but also the fact that they are lasting a long time, handled right and treated properly. The batteries have surprised a big portion of the industry of their longevity. So good question. Thank you.
Okay, so we're at the top of the hour, guys, and I'll hand it over to Paul in a moment. But a sincere thank you on behalf of all of us at Complete Coachworks, Shuttle Bus Leasing, Transit Sales International. We're all owners in our employee-owned companies, and sincere thank you for joining us. And, bottom line is you should know us. If you don't know us, I hope you've gotten a lot more information from us. But the messaging today is in your vehicle operations, we can assist you by filling those gaps in your fleet needs. And quite frankly, and there's a few more questions we'll get to and get it to you in by email and follow up. But, we offer customized solutions. We do the tough stuff. We can convert vehicles as noted. We can deploy vehicles, but we customize them to your operations. And that's really the heritage of the company. So hope it was helpful to you. Thank you again for taking the time. And we look forward to seeing you out in the market and in your specific operations. So Paula, over to you to close up the meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, as Pat said, thank you everyone for participating today. We do have a few things we'd like to just remind you of, and that is that our next webinar is going to take place in March. The topic will be bus refurbishments. We look forward to having you join us on that one, and we are excited to share that in December, we'll be featured guest on a widely recognized industry-leading public transportation podcast titled Transit Unplugged, which is heard in over 100 countries and is hosted by the YouTube sensation Paul Comfort. With that, we hope you found this session to be informative and helpful, and we welcome any feedback that you might have regarding this. And we look forward to seeing you at our next session. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, all.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it. Talk to you. Bye.
Have a great day.